The Lakers, a lot to unpack. I do want to start with, and I did text you about this just now while we were recording. It might be germane to our time crunch here, but LeBron sort of mentioning that he has a lot to figure out, hinting at the idea that, oh, he could retire. I likened it to, I want to get your thoughts, but this is my analogy. You've run 20 marathons, trained and run 20 marathons, one per year. Immediately after crossing the finish line of number 20, immediately you're asked whether you are going to run next year's and when you're going to start training for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're exhausted. Depending on how you finished, you're blinded by euphoria or disappointment.
Yeah.
Or something in between, maybe indifference. I would say that your answer could stand to be a little cryptic or be dripping with an unintended sense of finality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I sort of chalk this up to. Or it could just be a scare tactic. I'm just curious as to where you land on the LeBron saying, and look, it was the report from Bleacher Report's Chris Haynes that LeBron is going to consider retirement.
Yeah.
So this is not like LeBron misspoke. This is sourced reporting that LeBron is apparently going to consider retirement this offseason. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I would add to your analogy that you're also way past the age that anyone else has voluntarily continued to run marathons. Like you shouldn't even have run this one probably just based on, what normal people do. So yeah, no, that is a great way to frame it. That was my very first, because I'm a relentless cynic. My very first thought was like, well, he's found a way to dominate the news cycle for a few days again. Like this is, being in the spotlight is a good thing for financially and just for attention purposes and whatever. I've backed off that a little bit, but I do think it's like the worst time to ask, to your point, it's the worst time to ask somebody like what their intentions are. I think you get some version of this. Sometimes you get the guy that says not specific to, are you going to play next year, but to like, what's the plan? How do you feel? It's like, get right back to it. Just work hard in the off season, start tomorrow. You get that sometimes, but most of the time everybody's just like, I need a break. I'm going to take some time off. And then, I'll get back to basketball when I get back to it. This is just an extreme version of that. I think like wouldn't it be more surprising if he had said like, I feel great. This was not difficult. I didn't play hurt for like 3 months. My body, everything hurts. I'm 38. Like I have more mileage than anyone. This year I finished scoring more points than anyone's ever scored. Like, but I just want, I want more. Like, of course he's just at the end of his rope. He's tired. Like if he had unequivocally said, ready to get back at it, like that would be way weirder. Like that, I couldn't imagine someone saying that in his position.
He would have gotten drug tested on the spot if he said that. After playing basically all 48 minutes, I know he had that like 5-second rest at the end of the first half in game 4, and he dropped 40 points, 15 and 25 shooting, 9 assists, and it still wasn't enough. You have to like be sitting there like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what do I got to do? I mean, like, I think there was another quote either yesterday or today about, I think maybe it was in the Haynes piece about something to the effect of like, because I'm still better than 90 to 95% of players in the league, which is basically true. So like, he'll be back, right? I mean, like
he's signed to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Not that it matters to him. You're probably going to say the same thing, but he's like got 46.7 million coming next year and another 50 in 24-25 if he wants it. Like he doesn't need money anymore, but like that's like $100-ish million that is just there. And it's to do a thing you like to do anyway. I think I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, actually. It really just, it comes down to like what level of play is he comfortable like displaying to the world, like how interested is he in continuing to play if he's like the 50th best player in the league or something like that. Like I can understand where if he feels like that's where he is, like maybe you don't want the Jordan Wizards like kind of look towards the end. But he's an all NBA level player still. And like, he can be the second best player on a contender. Like that's what sometimes he was the best player on a contender this year. They were one of the final 4 teams. Like, I think he's got at least a couple more years of, being in consideration for an all NBA spot. So it's hard to imagine that he's at that, like, that's the reason. Like you're not embarrassing himself, but like doesn't want to tarnish the legacy
Yeah.
that he's made by like kind of limping to the finish. That's not where we are yet.
No, and I would agree with you there. My favorite one is that said he had to play with D'Angelo Russell and it drove him into retirement.
I want to ask
Go ahead.
about D'Angelo Russell. Like, we don't need to do the full postmortem, but like, is
Oh,
he
we
back?
do.
Is
We
he
do.
back?
But I wanted to wrap up on the LeBron stuff. Is I like the idea. Well, actually, I found this funny. Is that people said he didn't want Melo to have his day. Like Carmelo Anthony retires, and he didn't want Melo to, and also just he couldn't deal. Like he needed to make sure that he was going to be a headline for the next few days as we were getting ready for Nuggets Heat. But I also like the idea of it being, and this progresses into the larger discussion of D'Angelo Russell, their own free agents, that he wants to continue to apply pressure to the organization to make upgrades rather than say, okay, well, you traded a first round pick and you could bring everybody back. And I find it hysterical that favorable reporting for the Lakers is they're going to do anything they can to bring back Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves when it's the only thing they need to do is match whatever contract offer those guys receive.
Right.
That's literally all they need to do. So,
and I mean,
I think if I had to vote, the money certainly matters, but I would think that this is more of a scare tactic or a chess move on LeBron's part. And and by the way, we didn't mention this, playing on like 1 foot basically. And so like he's probably confronting the idea of, do I need surgery that's gonna could he miss a bunch of time next season? That like that might also factor into this too.
I think the main reason is like he felt like shit like after that game because he gave everything he had and this season was hard and the Lakers did not win a lot. There's a tough regular season. He got hurt again. Like that's what this was, but it's more so than the news cycle domination and whatever else. But yeah, it's just like wrong time to ask him something like that.